Hi, everybody. My name is Gina, and I've been a pilot on Second Life for 6 or 7 years now. And I'd like to talk to you this morning about how to set up a Shergood helicopter. A Shergood helicopter can be quite intimidating simply because the team that built this, Kelly Shergood and her team, have created helicopters that are very realistic. And once you get used to it, it is probably the best flying experience you can have in Second Life. Now we're going to be looking at the Airbus H160, that's Kelly's. And this is not going to, we're not going to fly it. We're going to set it up, because not setting it up properly is where many people get very confused and discouraged and stop flying. So we want to take care of that. So let's go on over to, I have one of my Civil Air Patrol helicopters already registered. We'll take a look at what has to be done before you fly it. So we'll just walk right over here and see what we can do. Okay, this is the emergency medical version of the H160 Airbus by Kelly Shergood, and this is my go-to helicopter for uh, medevac exfil operations. But everybody's taste is different, and Kelly makes a helicopter for everybody. Now, the first thing you need to understand is this realistic flight mode. First off, if you went to an airport and tried to take flying lessons in a helicopter, they wouldn't just say to you, okay, this stick, if you pull it up, it makes the helicopter go up, and this one, and if you push it down, it makes the helicopter go down, and this one, if you push it right, the helicopter goes right, and this one left, and this is forward, and this is backward. Here's the keys, have a good time. That's not the way it works, because helicopters are not built anything at all like airplanes. They are much more complex, and the old theory of relativity, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, is never proven better than in how a helicopter reacts when you try to fly it. Because basically, it doesn't want to be flown, in my opinion. But we'll take a look at it and see what we can do. Now, if the realism is what will get you in trouble. But the creators of this helicopter knew that, and to help a student pilot or a first-time Shergood helicopter pilot get started without having to run into all kinds of problems, they made it so that you could disable a lot of the things that will cause you problems in the initial flight. And once you're used to it, you can start turning these things back on. Now, here's how you do it. First, I'm going to click on the windscreen one time, and I get this menu. And the menu has a lot of things on it that you're going to need, but we're only interested right now in a few things. This button down here in the lower right corner says realism. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to give me a host of things here that helicopters do that we need them not to do right now while we're learning how to fly. If there is an asterisk next to one of these features, as you see, all of these have one, that means they are enabled and working. The first one is battery. We want to just leave that where it is, leave the asterisks in there, and next to it is the fluids. We want to leave that, because at least we want the realism of knowing that if we turn the battery on and then go log off for a couple hours and come back, the battery's going to be dead, because it would be in real life. Fluids, we want it to burn fuel. We want it to use oil and hydraulic fluids, so we're going to leave the asterisks in that. The next one down here, density. As a flight instructor for many years, a very long time ago, 68 through 72, density altitude has been one of the most difficult things for me to explain to students. I mean, other than the use of VORs, but we won't go into that right now. Density altitude means that the entirety of flight situations is based on what is called standard air. Standard air is this: sea level, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, a barometer of 29.92, and a humidity of 50%. Now, I will tell you where that exists. Basically, in nature, nowhere. It doesn't exist. But that is what the basis of standard air is. Density altitude means that when you start climbing, your barometer's going to shift, the temperature's going to shift, the humidity's going to shift, and everything starts getting different. Things that would cause your altimeter to be wrong and also cause how the airplane reacts to control surfaces will change also. So rather than go into the formula on how you extrapolate from knowns what the density altitude of a specific point is, and then having to deal with the helicopter acting weird because of the density altitude, click on density, that it removes to check the asterisks, and let's move on. We're not going to deal with density altitude at this point. Next to that is the ETL, emergency locator. We're going to leave that on because that's a good part of role play and a good part of getting used to it. It just activates an alarm on the Kelly Shergood radar system to let other pilots and emergency people know that we have an airplane in trouble. Next to that is low RPM. Now, in an airplane, you reduce the RPM and the plane goes slower and possibly loses a little altitude. Well, a helicopter reacts much differently to low RPM. It starts losing its ability to go straight. It's not happy with trying to climb, and you will have to deal with that in real life. But right now we're trying to get used to this thing. So let's click on low RPM and turn that off by removing the asterisks. Torque. Oh my God. Torque. This is one of the hardest things for new helicopter pilots to get used to. You get it all started up, everything's running perfectly, there's no caution lights, everything's great, so let's raise the collective a little bit, which is the handle right next to if you're the pilot, next to your left hand, pardon me, your right hand. And the helicopter starts to lift off. Well, you have to remember you've got a huge main rotor going in one direction, and so the helicopter is going to react to that according to the theory of relativity. So the minute the wheels are not holding you straight, this thing's going to start pivoting around the rotor, and in real life you would counteract that by pressing the pedals at your feet that change the speed or pitch of the tail rotor to counteract the torque. We don't want to deal with that right now, so let's click on it, turn it off. Okay, next to that is vortex and translate. Vortex we're going to turn off also. Being a fixed wing pilot myself, I'm really not sure what is meant by vortex, but I know I want it turned off, so let's turn it off because it makes the helicopter do wonky things, especially when it encounters virtual updrafts, downdrafts, or violent shifts of attitude in your helicopter. Translate. Let me tell you about translate. Remember just a minute ago I told you that when you lift off, the helicopter is going to start to turn because of the main rotor causing it to, and you have to correct for that, and that's why we turned it off. Well, translate, something very similar happens, but in another direction. When you start to lift off, the thing starts to drift. It's what we call a side slip. It starts to side slip off to your starboard side or your right side, and it just starts flying itself in that direction without actually turning. It just drifts. We don't want that. You're going to crash into other helicopters, buildings, people, whatever, so we're going to turn translate off. Now, we've got all those things turned off, and she's almost ready to fly. Let's click the back button and take a look at anything and options we might be interested in. And trust me, there are options that are important. The first one says K controls. Leave it alone. K controls means that the helicopter's basically going to respond to your keyboard commands like you would expect them to. Next to that is failures. A failure is exactly what it says. Without any warning, without any idea it's going to happen, all of a sudden, one of your engines catches fire. All of a sudden, you lose tail rotor control. It's designed to fail at periodic intervals. You have a lot of control over that, but the only control we need to be interested in right now is turning the dang thing off, and it's going to take several clicks to do it. So on failures, click. You see there's a P next to it. Click it, and you'll see, get it down here, that it's now got an L in front of it. All right, we don't want an L. So we're going to click it again, and it's going to say M. We don't want an M. We're going to click it again. It says H. We don't want an H. We're going to click it again. It says N. Good. No failures. Leave it alone. That's where we want it. We don't want to be learning how to fly and have this thing go completely on fire on us. We're going to leave the check mark in chat, the check mark in logging, and we're going to leave the check mark or asterisk in lag safe. Fragile. Fragile means if you land too hard, your landing gear collapses and the plane, or excuse me, the helicopter won't fly. You bump into something with your tail rotor on takeoff and it goes into a spin and catches on fire. You don't want that kind of thing. We're going to click fragile and see that it has removed the asterisk from fragile. Okay, co-pilot, leave the check in co-pilot because you may want a co-pilot someday. Quite frankly, although I have done medevac missions, SAR missions alone, I don't care to do it, and it's much better with an experienced co-pilot. So I leave that checked, and then I set up who I want as a co-pilot, and it's always my partner, JJ. Okay, alerts, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and turn it off just to keep chat from bothering us. INT-MENU, that's what this button over here says. What that means is, remember when we first started this video, I clicked on the windscreen to get this menu. Well, if the asterisk is in this button, then you can also click on it from the inside. So for now, we're going to leave it checked so it doesn't matter where you click. But later, when you get proficient and confident and you're doing pretty well, you're going to want to start using your rotor, tail rotor, by the use of pressing your pedals, and you're going to need to be able to click without getting that menu, and at that point we'll turn it off. Let's go back and see what else we've got here. We've got the realism. We already did realism. We've got the cheat menu, which we can click on, and you'll see that we can have random failures, and we can cheat by charging the battery when it's dead. We can cheat by filling all the oil and things when we want to, and we can, when it's damaged, we can click repair all and repair everything. And we can do a fast start, but it's easier to do that in chat. That's back. We're going to leave everything alone here. We don't want to set ourselves up for failure. We want to learn to fly this helicopter so we can start having fun. I think that's pretty much all we're going to need to deal with here. And basically, your helicopter is ready to fly at this point. Now, The next item that you're going to run into is Kelly has given us a very, very comprehensive startup checklist to start this thing. Folks, don't confuse yourself with that yet. It's not time. As an old time professional flight instructor with many hours, please trust me. Just do a QSTART in chat and let this thing start itself. And when you're finished, a QSTOP for it to stop. And that way, we've turned everything off. We've got this thing ready and set up, and we can start learning to fly, which I will be very happy to help you with at our academy located in the Aldergrove Sim. In conjunction with the Civil Air Patrol and National Aviation Academy. In real life, I graduated from National Aviation Academy in 1967, I think, in St. Petersburg, Clearwater International Airport in Florida, and started my teaching career there. So this is what we need to do to set this thing up. Now, what you want to do, I'm going to right click on my helicopter right now and get the edit menu up and click on general, and right here is the name of your helicopter somewhere around after the setup, or excuse me, after EMS, but before the tail number. You might want to put setup so that you know that this one has already been set up for what you want it to do. And then take it back into inventory and you're ready to go. So now, folks, if you have any questions, Jennifer, GINNAFER, resident is my Second Life ID. You can give me an IM anytime. You can come to the academy. There's no fees for anything I do. There's no fees for anything my partner does, and we will give you lessons from beginning all the way through advanced for as long as you need it. And also, if you're interested in the Civil Air Patrol and would like to join, let me know. And so let me delete my helicopter. It is gone. And I thank you all very much for watching. And I hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank y'all. See you later.